we have a fun thing to talk about next that I know you're excited about. Give me 2 or 3 guys, first off, that Fran Brown and his staff did a good job with, that brought in for the portal. And then I want to transition, in your opinion, I'm going to compare with you what I think that's going to happen after the season, how big this win is in terms of perception. So go ahead. Give me a couple of guys that you think have really helped the Cuse this year.
Sure. Well, the secondary was a question mark in the offseason, and it was a question mark heading into the season. One addition that they made at corner was a true freshman in Demetrius Samuel. So that's not a portal addition. So how about the other corner in Chris Peel, who was a 4-star Georgia recruit in 2023? Can you guess who his primary recruiter was, Brian?
Fran Brown.
It was Fran Brown.
I'm
surprised, honestly, that Chris Peel did not follow Fran Brown to Syracuse last offseason. But, he waited another year at Georgia, got a little bit of snaps there, but not a whole lot. So he decides, I'm going to hit the portal. He comes to Syracuse. Voila, there's the opportunity. And I think he's done a pretty nice job so far for the Orange. So that's number one as far as portal additions. Gary Bryant as a linebacker for Syracuse, an FCS All-American. That's right, I said FCS All-American. I think he has done so far a very nice job for Syracuse. Him and Antoine Delorier look like a solid linebacker duo. And I also want to shout out this player right here because I don't know if he's getting enough love. Trip Woody, the kicker. I believe they got him from Iowa. The reason why I'm going to shout him out is because I thought he made the most underrated play of this entire game against Clemson.
Please, indulge me.
So, the situation is this. It's the beginning of the second half, and Syracuse's defense, they get a stop, which is good. They're up 24-14. Now they have the ball, but they're pinned in their own territory. And Jonte Cook, another great transfer portal addition. Steve Angeli finds Jonte Cook for a 59-yard catch and run over the middle of the field. So they start deep in their own territory, but now they're set up in scoring position near the red zone, but you still need a first down, I think, to get to the red zone. But unfortunately for Syracuse, the drive stalls out. So you got 4th and 10, you're not going for it, and it's a 49-yard field goal for Trip Woody. At this point of the game, Syracuse is up by 10 points. You just completed a 59-yard pass, and you're telling me you are not going to get points there, and if you miss the kick, Clemson, only down 10, is going to get good field position against a defense which up until that point, you'd probably think is pretty shaky, because that's before they started forcing turnovers. And Trip Woody nails a 49-yarder, gives them a 27-14 lead. I know it's only 3 points, but sometimes a field goal counts more to the mental aspect, I guess, because if you're at 4th and goal in the 1 and you have to settle for a field goal, that's deflating for an offense. That's deflating for a team that has to settle for the field goal. But 49 yards in that situation after you completed a 59-yard pass, underrated moment of the game. Probably the most underrated moment of the game. So shout out to Trip Woody as well.
Yeah, Gary Bryant, they've got different guys that came in, Ferguson on the offensive line, etc., Cam Pringle. Some of these guys have worked out better than others, but why do you think Fran does so well with the portal? Getting a kicker to work out, that's a whole nother. Figuring out kickers is the bane of my existence. But why is he so good at it? Because I don't think there's any doubt he's done a lot better than most people.
I think there's 2 things that he does. He looks at a player and he says, "What's your talent level?" I don't care what your role was at your previous school. What's your talent level? If you notice with Fran Brown and his transfer portal additions, a lot of them are former 4- and 5-star guys that were playing at a certain school and just did not work out. A perfect example of it is Jonte Cook, 5-star wide receiver in 2023. For whatever reason, on field, off field, whatever it was, it did not work out at Texas. And then for whatever reason, it doesn't work out at Washington. But Fran Brown looks at a player and says, okay, you got talent. I know you got talent. You did not become a 4 or 5-star recruit that went to this school by accident. Steve Angeli, transfer from Notre Dame, 4-star high school prospect, competed for the Notre Dame starting quarterback job. He's got talent. And then he sells them on this. I'm not going to guarantee you a starting job. I'm impersonating Fran Brown here. I'm not going to guarantee you a starting job. I'm not going to guarantee you everything. But what I can guarantee is that you will get an opportunity at Syracuse to play a big role. So Chris Peel, you transfer from Georgia. I know you really didn't get on the field a lot at Georgia, and there's no shame in not getting on the field a lot at Georgia. So come to Syracuse, and you're going to have an opportunity because I know you have talent. So it's talent from high school, maybe hasn't been realized just yet. And then it's the fact that it's putting players, I guess, in position to succeed, but really it's just opportunity.
I think that's a really good way to put it because, like, Syracuse has plugged and played some guys. I mean, and it's been really, really impressive. To that point, you mentioned one of the guys. Pronounce the middle linebacker for me again. Antoine
Delorier.
Yeah, Delorier. He graded out at 93% run defense against Clemson. Those are all juniors, seniors, and fifth-year seniors up there playing on that line, and they played pretty well. That's a really good sign for them. Like, they're picking guys that some other teams may or may not have wanted, and they're hitting.
Yeah.
Look, that's the definition of how you recruit. That's the definition of roster management. Hats off to Fran Brown and everybody in their back office. They figured it out. And like, I think it's better for college football when teams like Syracuse, Georgia Tech this year, they might end up in the ACC title game. This is fun. But to do that, because like you said, you're not going to recruit the same kids UGA does over and over. Be realistic. You got to find the ones that fit you and get it done. And man, I tell you what, Syracuse is in the contention from both a recruiting perspective and a portal perspective to do well there. Before I go on, though, I just want to touch on this, and we'll finish up in the last segment. How much do you think Syracuse gains a big bang on the recruiting trail for winning in Death Valley? What's your take on that?
I think it's massive. And I don't care if Clemson is good or bad this season, because we discussed going into the year how, look, the schedule is really challenging for Syracuse. It's a brand new team. It's a young team. We all understand that you might not be able to replicate 10-3 in 2025. That's okay. But you cannot have a disaster season. You can't. And if you have the disaster season, that could derail every bit of progress that this program has made. So by recovering to beat UConn, following it up with a blowout victory versus Colgate like you were expected to, then going on the road for the first time in program history and beating the Clemson Tigers, you're setting yourself up to make a bowl in 2025, which is really all you can ask for.